Welcome back to #Fempire. If you listened to part 1 of my conversation with Jen Phillips, founder of The New Ambition, you already know this. Jen is a powerhouse strategist and an execution architect for high-growth systems. She specializes in cutting through complexity, breaking decision gridlock, and getting stalled work across the finish line. After 2 decades inside global enterprise growth systems, Jen has seen exactly where fast-scaling organizations break, often at the cost of burning out teams and its leaders. She's watched smart people get stuck, senior leaders drown in office politics, and progress stall in endless decision loops. Now, through The New Ambition, she's helping teams shift their mindset and break those cycles, showing that progress doesn't come from more pressure, but from clarity, ownership, and sustainable execution. In this episode, Jen and I dig into what it really means to redefine success and how leaders can support their teams without chasing that dopamine hit of being the hero or the fixer. This is about doing the work that actually moves things forward. So, let's get into it. I want to talk about your company, The New Ambition, and you talked a little bit about your experiences of being in those senior positions and how that impacted your teams. What's one upstream decision leaders maybe underestimate and pay for later?
It's limited to teams that are in moments of change, which is all of us right now. But in these moments of change, what worked to get you to that point likely isn't the thing that will work to get you to where you're headed. And so what happens is people come to me and they say the founder might be making a decision about which options they want to go forward with, or the leadership team is trying to decide kind of which options or changes will really move the needle in the rightest way to help with scale, to help with growth, to help with an actually successfully running company. But what I see in those moments of flex is sometimes it's hard, and this is true too of the moment I was in. Sometimes it's really, really hard to stop doing the things that got you there and to break it's almost a bunch of heroics holding the entire organization together. And that's terrific. That's talent, and the tenacity and the heroics that got you to that moment is fantastic. And congratulations. It's finite. And it is hard sometimes to see your way clear of what does it look like if we were really to think completely differently about the things that will really matter to take us from here where we know we can't continue to exist to where we really want to get to. And some people don't really even understand where they want to get to. So we start first with what is the definition of success and how is that measured? And that becomes a bigger conversation than you would expect. And we spend a lot of time on it. And once that's defined, every single one of those options, we put them through the paces of how does this match up with your success levers? Do they hit the floor? Is it underneath the floor? Meaning it's untenable. If it's under the floor of your definition of success, why is it an option? Point of fact, it's not. It's not really an option. For example, my definitions of success, if I ran myself, I didn't have this. I wish I would have had this when I was trying to make my decision. My definition for success, my success levers are wealth. Yes, money is important. You need money to be able to live. Wealth, health, happiness, and autonomy of my time. Those are my success levers. I know what the floor is. I know what the ceiling is, the summit. The best of my goal would be. Whenever I have a question about what I'm doing, those are the levers that I'm kind of checking it against. In the job I had, I only hit one of the success levers, and it was wealth. I didn't have my health. I didn't have my happiness. I didn't have my autonomy of time at all. So we start with success, and then we look for all of these options. What's really happening? What would it take? What are the risks? Or which are the dependencies? And we plot out the path forward based on the center of the nucleus being the definition of success.
I love that. And I love your levers because they mirror a lot similar to mine. And I feel like I've definitely put autonomy at the top for this year for me and ownership of your time, of not clocking in, yes, 9 to 5, but turning off your brain as much as you can outside of those hours and doing those creative expressions that you want. Like, that's why I'm podcasting. That's why I'm reaching out to people,
Yeah.
having these like-minded conversations and being exposed to and being able to learn more about your thought process because you've been through the career pipeline and, what advice can you pass down? And again, that's what inspired me to start this podcast because I want to be able to make this information, these conversations accessible to more people. So I love all that. And you mentioned the word, and I think it's a great transition to my next question here, heroism. And you talk about the hero habit in scaling companies. So can you explain a little bit about what is that and how that works into your thought process and how you work with your clients?
Yeah. People do not believe many times when they are coming to me, whether it's the leadership team for a company or an organization in a moment of like strategic change, or it's the founder or the CEO of a company. They may not believe that there is a solution, or they don't believe that they have the right people for the solution. And when we really start to break it down, there's a few key people that are holding the whole thing together. And I've done a ton of research on this as well. And sometimes it's the person sitting across from me. And those heroics are masking your success. So, one of my clients right now said to me, my business is successful. I am not. Can't have a weekend, can't disconnect, in the middle of too many decisions. In fact, most of the decisions, this is a 14-year-old business where this guy is still in the middle of every decision. So even if there was a question of wanting to exit and having a salable asset that you could exit, if you're in the middle of every single decision, it's an impossibility, or at least you are absolutely negating the value of the business you worked your 14 years to build. But those heroics got you there, and it becomes almost a muscle memory. I'll just jump in. I'll just do it. And this happens in leadership as well. No, no, don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. Yes, I'll do it. Yes, I'll do it. And it's the detriment of the company or the team's ability to use their own talent. The reason you hired them, the reason you brought them on to actually have a process that will support healthier work and healthier business. So those heroics are actually incredibly damaging to the person who is acting as the hero. Yes, there's some rush to it. There's some dopamine to it. And that's one of the things you have to combat, because there is like a little bit of a dopamine kick to save the day, day after day after day. On the one hand, it feels really good to go, save the day again. But really, if you look at the rest of your life, it's just stealing from all of the other areas where you have defined you are under your success floor. So heroics is actually an amazing way to stunt your own growth, the growth and health of your company, and your team's growth. I lived a lot of my younger leadership career in that space. So I know it's hard. I recognize it's hard to change. But if you want to have a high performing team, you got to let them be amazing.
Yeah, very well said. I feel like women, we also feel the need to fix or maybe are put into positions to be fixers. So I think it's almost instinct. Yeah, I'm the oldest daughter. I'm always kind of fixing problems for my siblings or my parents. So it's just like that innate instinct to your point. And I know that goes towards everybody, but I feel like a lot more women do get that pressure to fill that void or instantly do it, right?
Totally. Let me give you a reframe on that. Let me just give you some food for thought. What if the way that you fix things is by showing people that they have the tools to fix it themselves? You're still fixing it for them because you've unlocked something in them that's going to make their life better and your life better.
Yep. You're absolutely right. It's all about shifting mindset. And I think you need someone like Jen in your life to tell you this and shake you by the shoulders because I think it's important. And it's just taking that step back or hearing it from that different perspective. So I really appreciate that breakdown, Jen. That's so awesome. And, as we're just kind of wrapping up here, it wouldn't be an episode of #Fempire if we didn't end on a nice feminist note. But if a woman is listening today and she feels like the system isn't built for her, but she also feels trapped inside of it,
What's one question she should ask herself first before making any moves?
What do I have in my power right now, honestly, to stop? I've done so many conversations with people, both just out of courtesy. When I started writing openly about burnout, I had hundreds of conversations with people who just wanted to talk about burnout. I met with everybody, and I still do, and I still will. But also with leaders and founders, and execs, what can you stop? The answer is there is something you can stop. There are boundaries you can put in place. You do not have a complete lack of autonomy. And if you're telling yourself you do, you are not being honest. So it's really about having those quiet moments and assessing within yourself, what can I stop? Here's something that you can stop. If you're spending the average amount of time scrolling on your phone every day, you're spending 2 hours a day on your phone. Even if you cut that in half, you've just bought yourself an hour. Do nothing. Go outside. Spend 15 minutes outside. The 15 minutes outside that you spend legitimately is the healthiest thing that you can possibly do for yourself, especially if you walk. The better that you are in your body and spending time outside, the healthier you are, and the better your mind. You get your executive functioning back. When you are really in a state of burnout, the reason that you feel that brain fog is because your brain has shut down. You cannot think clearly. You are in fight or flight. So the more you can put yourself away from a screen and out into the world, even for 10 or 15 minutes, and that will really change things, the better you'll be able to think. And you will need to think to be able to plot your what's next. And your what's next might be stay in the job, but just really say, these are the things I no longer do. So I was a leader of leaders, right? I had the honor of leading a lot of really strong women leaders. And one of them, who was one of my favorites ever to lead, would come to me all spun up about things that were happening. This team's not working well with this team and it's all blowing up. And be like, well, now hold on. This is not your monkey. This is not your circus. Why are you involved and invested here? And it was really one of those things where a lesson this person had to start owning was, I don't need to be in every fight. I don't need to be in every bit of the palace intrigue. It's actually harmful to me and my ability to function in my own mandate to be that invested in other people's crazy. And so that was one of the shifts that she made. So it's looking at, what is it that I can stop? What is it I can let go of and focus on just the core rightest things? And if one of the rightest things is getting yourself outside 15 minutes so you can think more clearly, prioritizing that.
I know the kids these days are saying, go out and touch grass, touch grass. That's the big thing but there is something there to it, right?
There's everything there. There's everything there. It is the healthiest thing you can do for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think that was a fantastic way to end it. That was Jen Phillips. She's the founder of The New Ambition. Make sure you reach out for any decision making, coaching, or just mindset shifting. Jen is your person. And Jen, I just want to throw it to you. Are there any other closing thoughts that you want to share? We'll definitely have you back because I think there's so much more we need to touch on of setting boundaries and, what do more healthier workplaces look like with the age of remote work. But yeah, I just want to throw it to you if there's any other closing thoughts you want to share with the listeners.
Here's the one thing that I would ask for everybody to keep in mind. It is not you. If you're feeling overwhelmed by what is happening in the world, what is happening in the workplace, how systemic the change is, and how unknown and anxious it makes you feel, you are not alone. One of the things that we don't do, though, is turn to the person to the right or to the left and just say, this is all really overwhelming right now. And connecting in a real way with the people around us, it's something we don't do. We do it electronically some, but not enough in real life. And if you can find a way to do that, you won't just be helping yourself. You may be really helping someone else that needs that connection as well. So just keeping in mind you are not alone. And Harvard has done the longest running study on happiness And what it really comes down to is the strength of your connections is the strength of your happiness. So turning and just saying, when I'm feeling this way, I know it feels unsafe. So pick your people carefully. But if you turn to someone that you've had a good relationship with and just say, sometimes this is all really overwhelming. This feels crazy. And just having them say, yeah, it absolutely does. And what do you want to do about it? And even if that, what do you want to do about it is make our standing meeting a walking meeting. That's good for both of you.
That was a great way to end it, Jen. I really appreciate that. I appreciate all your insights, your vulnerability, and sharing your story. And I think the theme you mentioned connections, but community. And that's what Fempire is all about, is building this community and sharing these stories. So again, thank you so much. And be sure to tune in next week for my next special guest. We'll catch you there.
And that's a wrap on this episode. If you like what you heard, make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend. Press all those buttons you need to on your screen so you don't miss the next episode of #Fempire. I'm your host, Julia Pinella. Thanks so much for listening.